about the new face of the New York Times. What makes the New York Times tick these days?
I think that the biggest emphasis right now, or at least what we've been told and sort of expected to focus on, is visual journalism. So obviously, the most important thing is the story and the accuracy and the facts and the information, but it seems that people are tending to consume news differently than they have in the past. And people might have the New York Times Standard, they don't call it the old railway for nothing, right? It used to just be a big broadsheet that if you squinted your eyes, it was just a big gray thing with all the text. And I've heard from colleagues that when they first started putting larger images, there was a lot of resistance, and that with the color, we're moving a little bit tabloid, and sort of the trend has been moving towards more and more journalism almost forever, but at this point, you can see the extension of that. Where, for example, I don't know if any of you have our app, which you should. Even I don't know the timing, but very short time ago, within a month or so, or maybe a little bit more, it was just you would see the story headlines across your phone, and you could just tap on the headlines. And now, if you look and scroll through it, it's all big images and then a headline, big image and then a headline, because that seems to be how people are wanting to consume their news more.
And how has that change in the New York Times gone down to the public in the States? Has it been to opposition to this, or is it actually not very quickly?
I mean, I have to say from a personal level, when they switched from having headlines to having the big photos recently, I as a consumer, was actually quite frustrated because I like scrolling down the app and just getting the idea of what all the headlines are. But it seems that they made this decision based on a lot of market research, and if you look at a lot of the newer news organizations, whether it's on an app, on their website, everything is pictures. I'm actually taking a class myself right now about digital media taught by BuzzFeed, and he has talked a lot about how he's done really fun studies about if you have some words versus you have an image, people will click on the image. So it's not that journalism necessarily has changed in terms of how you get your information, how you figure out how to tell a good story, but how you present it has changed a lot. And I guess if you sort of engineer it, it means that you do have to gather your news differently. In some ways, you want to focus on if you're somewhere and you're interviewing someone, think about what photos you can take, even if it's with your iPhone. If you are planning to go out and record and you don't have a video camera, make sure your clothes and it's on your smartphone so you can shoot the video and think about how those videos can be used. Before it was, if you wanted to get something on the BBC, it had to be shot off a top quality camera, it had to be perfectly edited, and now it's much more about the actual story and the content. If you can capture something, even if it's on your smartphone, whether it's a still or a video, there's a lot of appetite for that.
Could you tell us a little bit, I was going to throw the question up to the floor in a minute, but can you tell us a little about a day in the life of Erica Bernstein at the New York Times today? What kind of things do you do?
Well, different days are really different. Today, for example, I am editing footage that was shot on a cell phone by a reporter who went up to the border with Canada. He had that a couple weeks ago. He was Ron Nixon. He did story the southern border, and he got some great video from a GoPro helmet of going into tunnels that smugglers have built on the southern border. And so now he's doing the flip side of that, which is the northern border, and it's sort of patrol agents who are calmly walking through forest paths and showing us this is the northern border, it's quite different. And it's a great example of where he's not a professional shooter. He is a very accomplished professional journalist, but I just gave him some basic training on, make sure the light source is behind you, make sure things are in focus, how you frame a shot. And he took his cell phone with him when he's doing this trip with the border agent. And the video's gonna be like a minute, it's nothing earth shattering, but it means that someone who comes to that story, in addition to reading about what it's like, can actually watch this border patrol agent walking through a sort of like remote forest path, and you get a whole different feeling of what the story is about. So I do a lot of editing on regular basis. I'm not often out getting pepper sprayed, then that doesn't happen very often. But a lot of my days are spent editing, actually.
Excellent. Okay, any questions?
Don't all shout out at once.
If you were starting right today, after all these changes have happened, would you still go into journalism?
Can you repeat the question?
So, if you were starting out today, if today were 8 years ago, would you still go into journalism?
Yes and no. I think that it's actually quite interesting. I graduated from journalism school, I think something like 4 months before the crash. So I saw people in the year below me not get jobs. So people in my year tended to be able to find jobs, and then the year after, a lot of people. But that was also true for lawyers and people in finance, and so I used to say, when people come to me for this kind of advice, I would say, don't go into journalism. I think that maybe it is, the true answer is, don't necessarily think about it as just going into journalism. You're maybe going into storytelling, visual storytelling, or writing. And as you start the job search, just be really open to what options are out there that maybe don't look like the options that were known out of school when I came out of school. If what you're, think about why you're going to journalism, what are those things that drive you? And in addition to traditional journalistic outlets, what are other places you can use those skills? Because, you know, storytelling with the internet is exploding. It's just like, you know, if I were an advertising doctor in an advertising class, I could possibly get the same question, right? Because people are freaking out about how advertising has changed. But it's not going away, it's just really, really different. And what the jobs look like and what the skill sets that people want to have are different.
Well, I'm waiting another question for the floor. I was going to ask you, how has this current political cycle changed the way that you work? And I'm thinking especially of the video that you put out a few months ago.
Yeah, well, actually, that's an interesting example because I can't remember if it was before or right after the Wall Street Journal perhaps allow swear words in the newspaper. If they were within that, I think it was within a quotation, or if there was sort of a newsworthy reason to do it. With our standards editor, whenever we're going to have sort of language that we're not supposed to have, we have to go through him and explain why we're using it. And he didn't put up any resistance to this story because the truth is, the nasty language was the story.
Actually, Erica, if you could just briefly tell us the story of that video, just for the benefit of those who haven't watched it yet.
So I'll tell you why we did it. A couple of reporters I've worked with on training them to shoot cell phone video, and we produced a couple of packages with. They came to me and they said that they actually just needed some technical help because they were writing an article about racial slurs and profanity that was so common at Trump rallies, and they wanted to record the audio in order to have it as a backup in case anyone challenged them about whether this was actually happening. And when they told me that, I said, hey guys, you're going out there and you're recording it, I'd love you to try to get, this kind of shot, this kind of shot, this kind of shot, record video as well as audio. And as you're going, give me the footage and I'll give you feedback, and we'll see if we can actually also make a video to go with your article. So at a certain point, it became obvious to everyone involved in the project. The article was not the video that they were capturing was so much more compelling than anything you could say or write or tell about what you had seen. It was much more powerful to actually just show and let people hear the actual words. And at that point I had sort of almost enough to build a video, but it wasn't quite enough. So I went to a platform called Storyful. It's sort of like subscribing to Reuters or subscribing to AP. I don't know if you guys know Storyful, but they do verification of social media. So they'll comb Facebook and Twitter and wherever else, Instagram, and find videos, make sure they know who shot it, where they shot it, when they shot it, why they shot it. And then they offer that to news organizations for subscriptions. So I just started typing in the place and the date of certain Trump rallies, and I started finding not only other angles of the same stuff that our reporters had shot, which helped me build the scenes more, but other horrible people, like with the saying that loves him newsroom, but the person who said something about President Obama, that was some guy who was at a rally who shot it on his cell phone, story told very popular about it, and then I was able to include it in my story. So by the time I had that, we had so many different places where the same kind of thing was happening that were considered to us as cherry picking the worst example. These are the worst examples of something happening all over the country.
Talking about Donald Trump, what's the sense in America at the moment? Is he going to win?
I mean, I guess what we've learned is not to predict anything when it comes to him. But I can't imagine. I can't imagine it, but
You're in New York, though.
Yeah, but I've been around the country for reporting news and talked to people at the rallies and sort of had people live all over the country and it does seem that there's really strong support, but in order to win, you have to have more, most of the support. And I hate to predict things. I don't think that he has most of the support.
Okay. Any? Andy?
You made passing reference to your standards editor. I'm not sure we probably do have equivalent roles, but I'm interested to know who that is and how you're supposed to deal with them and so on.
Can you repeat it? Sorry, the audio's not great.
You made passing reference to your standard editor. Could you tell us a bit more about who that is and when you refer to them?
So whenever you have something that, for example, we had some police video, dashcam video of someone being shot. Whenever you have moments of death, so like the one that you guys watched with the video from North Carolina from Charlotte, that was actually an interesting one because for a while we didn't know, for that you see the video, we didn't know if he had died or not. And if he had died, we would have to go through the standards editor because that would be showing possibly the moment of death. He didn't, he had died by the time that we published it, so we didn't have to go through standards editor. And then he died shortly thereafter, so anyway, it's sort of rules, guiding principles about certain situations, language, nudity, things like that. I mean, we sort of all know what we are and aren't supposed to show or include, but there are moments like Trump rallies where the thing we're not supposed to show is the news. And so that's when you go to the standards editor and you make the case. You say, look, I know we're not supposed to use the N-word, the F-word, but this is a story about how this is happening at presidential campaign rallies, which is significant and people have a right to know about it.
What was your first job in journalism and how did you end up on the newspaper?
So I actually did hear that one. My first job in journalism, I should know this, I think it was actually with a local news station working for the medical news reporter. So his name is Max Gomez and he's still the medical news reporter for, now he's at CBS, but at that time he was I was transcribing tapes, helping out the lighting guy on shoots, and sort of keeping the doctors busy while everyone was setting up. It was unglamorous. I didn't get on my reel from that job, but I did learn a little bit about how the sausage was made.
I was going to ask you, were recently in Mecca filming at the Hajj. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came to do that? And
Oh, I was not in Mecca.
Oh, sorry.
We're definitely not allowed very
I was going to ask actually. I was going to ask about the Hajj actually. But
no, so that's a really interesting story actually because Dia Hadid, who works in the Jewish Islam Bureau, and she's Muslim, and she applied to get a visa to go to the Hajj, to do the Hajj herself, to do the pilgrimage, as well as to cover it as a journalist. And the international desk decided that they really wanted to start to be video driven. And so then they came to me and said, we want her to shoot a lot of video. I had never worked with her before. I don't think she had shot any, maybe a little bit, but I had never seen anything about her shooting video or work with her or anything. So the first day she sent me a couple of clips of medium shots of children getting off the plane. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with this? So I called her up gave her a big pep talk. I said, this is about you, this is about your journey. I want you to film anything that you feel strongly about, but I also want you to turn the camera on yourself. You don't have a cameraman with you or a camerawoman with you. Just shoot a bunch of selfie video, and maybe we'll just use the audio. And then if you guys get a chance to watch it, you'll see this woman she's an on-camera prodigy, and she's never been on camera. She just shot a whole bunch of selfie video, which was great because in a lot of places she weren't allowed to bring a professional camera. And she gave her own reflections. It was a very different kind of reporting, and I don't think anyone on the has ever covered the Hajj in this way. We had a sort of, I don't want to say anything wrong, but she's sort of a westernized female experiencing a very different world than what she's used to. She's also Muslim. She says herself in one of the videos, she never used to pray, and now she comes to this pilgrimage and she's feeling the whole of everything happening around her and starting to pray and starting to understand it. But then in another video, she also reflects on how she feels that there is a bit of a tension between the idea that some Muslims are holier than others and that Muslims should all get along in one place when they aren't necessarily getting along all over the world. And that was really, really interesting because it's much more aimed at like the selfie generation and I use word of millennials who want things that are more authentic and more personal. But at the same time, she's a professional journalist, so everything she was saying, she had made sure that it was accurate. And all of her stories, if you watch them as a journalist, you'll see that there's a lot of journalistic information in there. It's presented in a different way. But it's the same kind of storytelling, just with the, I guess, 2016 slant to it.
Actually, you've touched on this, but could you expand a little bit more about what you tell people makes a good smartphone piece of journalism?
I mean, I think that the number one thing is there an interesting story to tell? You can do the best quality shooting, the most amazing creative shots, and have great sound bites, but essentially what matters is something that always matters. Is there an interesting story to tell? And when you're shooting video as opposed to, I mean, I don't work at a TV station, right? So we have the choice as an organization, we can run out or do a video or we can do an article or both. And when reporters come to me and say, I want to shoot something, I sort of have to parse between people who just want to shoot because they want to start shooting and people who are actually going to have access to shoot something either that's happening before their very eyes or that it's a place that other people don't get to go. It's usually a window to something that you wouldn't otherwise see. It's really all about access. And I don't mean access in terms of like, are you getting into the VIP section or the behind the scenes, but you know, when we were in Charlotte, we weren't looking for a breaking news video. We were looking for some kind of character-driven story about protesters and, you know, monitoring what they're doing, where they are, and we were supposed to follow them for a couple of weeks. And then suddenly, someone got shot right in front of us. And so we changed, you know, that was the access, was that we were there and something actually happened. So I think that when you're thinking about doing stuff, don't shoot. Do for the sake of shooting practice, shoot your kids, your pets, your neighbors, you know, definitely practice on anything that is in front of you. But if you actually want to pitch something or you want to put together something for your reel, make sure that you have access and if people can't access themselves or that something happens and you're able to show something of scene and you're actually able to show something happening. I get a lot of pictures from people that it's basic bites and B-roll. Like interview someone marginally interesting and then shots of them walking down the hallway. That's not worth it. I mean, unless it's like President Obama or something. There are exceptions to everything, but.
Erica, I was just wondering, with this shift to audio-visual material, do you think the news values of the New York Times are changing significantly as well? I
don't think that the values are changing. I do think we're exploring doing certain stories that we maybe wouldn't have done before. Because if you can show certain things in a video, or with quick photo slideshows, or visual elements, you may not have, it might not have been good to write about before when you didn't have that ability to show it visually. So definitely things that I mean, I did this in the found ridiculous, but I edited a video recently from a reporter who wanted to cover, I think it was like a miniature donkey meetup. And this is a man who helps people through hard times by letting them walk around with his miniature donkeys. Now, when I'm telling you that, it's like, okay, whatever, that's not that interesting. When you see these donkeys, they're amazing. And the guy being interviewed has a donkey here, the donkey here, one comes over his shoulder, and then he starts talking about how it's important to spread awareness because donkeys are some of the most abused animals on earth, and it becomes a more serious thing. But at the end, and the reason it was good, is because he actually had access to showing people interacting with the donkeys, and they were really cute, you know?
Yes.
Do you have a preference between text journalism and multimedia?
I don't think you're allowed to have a preference anymore. You have to be ready to tell a story with whatever best elements tell that story.
Looking ahead, what do the next few weeks hold for you ahead of this big election?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit day by day at this point. I think we're just planning on our election day coverage now. We've been doing a lot of Facebook Live, so I think that there's going to be a lot of that. But I'm sort of finalized our plans yet. Have any of you guys been doing Facebook Live or anything?
Sorry, Erica, say that again?
Have any of you guys been using Facebook Live, and what do you think about it?
You've been using Facebook Live?
I watched a video of Leonardo DiCaprio talking to Barack Obama about like climate change and stuff. It was really interesting.
One of the students had watched Leonardo DiCaprio speaking to Obama about climate change on the Facebook Live.
No, but my question is, have any of you guys actually done some Facebook Lives?
It's one of the things we're going to look at in our news days this year, some Facebook Lives from around town, so hopefully.
Well, I was just going to ask, with the shift towards multimedia, have you found there's an increasing need to be pumping more content? Is it a lot more difficult to write higher quality stories and being forced to pump out a lot more?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
With the move towards multimedia journalism, are you being encouraged or forced to pump out more material, and is there a loss of quality because of that?
Yes. But you know, it's also just, if you're used to doing things one way, you have your workflow and your patterns and the way you do stuff in that context, and then when there's new context, you do it differently. But at the same time, but it's harder and you have to put out more. And I don't know, you also have to keep in mind that certain things like editing, video editing, is a lot easier than it used to be. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced just tape-to-tape editing or Steinbeck. I mean, you could not turn a story in a day the way you can turn a story in a day now. It's still very hard, but the technology is faster and more efficient than it used to be. So there's both sides of that.
Erica, look, we've been speaking for half an hour now. I'm going to let you go, get back to your day job. But finally, what advice would you give to an aspiring journalist today in the world of media? What should they have in their toolkit, their emotional and their physical toolkit?
I would say definitely focus on your skill set. You know, you have to know what you want, and if you don't know where you're going, anyone will take you there, and you know, have your eyes on the prize. But the important thing is your skill set. Because if things change, and being able to adapt and change all the time. So, you know, practice your cell phone shooting, do a lot of writing, do a lot of interviewing. Make sure you have the basic skills, but that you're also ready to adapt to new skills. Because it's unlikely that every single person I'm looking right now is going to end up in journalism. Some of you will end up in other things, but the skill sets that you use to produce journalism are really applicable to other. You know, it's not like you're looking at accounting and suddenly you don't know accountants. You know, you're learning storytelling, writing, video production, all of those things. Really, really work on getting good skills in all those areas because you'll be able to use it no matter what you do.
Erica, thank you very much and good luck with the next few weeks. And
thank you guys.
all the best.